If the Sabbath was nailed to the cross, then so were the other 9. Let's speak plainly. No sugarcoating, no theological gymnastics. If the Sabbath, the 4th commandment, was nailed to the cross, then logically and biblically, so were the other 9. You can't tear out the heart of God's moral law and pretend the rest still beats. It's all or nothing. The 10 Commandments are one law, written by one God, with one finger on 2 tablets of stone. There's no asterisk on the 4th commandment, no footnote that says, this one ends at the cross. Yet pastors preach that we're under grace, so the Sabbath no longer applies. Priests promote Sunday worship as tradition, and modern Christians live as if 9 commandments are moral, while the 4th is optional. Let's use your logic. If the Sabbath was nailed to the cross, why not the commandments against murder, stealing, lying, adultery? If one falls, they all fall. James 2:10 crushes this hypocrisy. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. The law of God is not a spiritual buffet. You don't get to pick 9 and toss the one that confronts your lifestyle or tradition. The moment you discard one, you stand guilty of breaking the entire covenant. So what exactly was nailed to the cross? Colossians 2:14 says, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, nailing it to his cross. What was nailed? The handwriting of ordinances, not the 10 Commandments. There's a massive difference between what Moses wrote and what God wrote. Moses wrote ordinances in a book and placed it beside the ark, Deuteronomy 31-26. God wrote the 10 Commandments with his finger and placed them inside the ark, Exodus 25:16. Ceremonial laws, animal sacrifices, rituals, feast days were temporary shadows pointing to Jesus. When Christ died, the shadows vanished, but the substance remained, and the substance includes obedience to God's moral law. Let's hear it straight from Jesus. Think not that I am come to destroy the law, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law. Matthew chapter 5:17-18. Last time I checked, heaven and earth still stand. That means God's law, including the Sabbath, still stands. So, what gives you the right to erase it? Jesus didn't die to erase the law. He died because the law was broken. The cross is not a license to sin. It's a revelation of how serious sin is. If God could have just cancelled his law, Jesus never had to die. But he did, to uphold it, to fulfill it, and to empower us to keep it. Romans 3:31 settles the matter. Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yea, we establish the law. Paul didn't abolish the Sabbath, he upheld it. The apostles didn't ignore it, they kept it, long after the resurrection. The early church didn't shift worship to Sunday. That came later, from Rome, not Scripture. So today, we challenge every pastor, priest, and skeptic who says the Sabbath was nailed to the cross. Are you prepared to say the same about the other 9? Will you preach that lying, stealing, murder, and adultery are also nailed to the cross? Of course not. Because even your conscience knows better. You cannot separate the 4th from the other 9. Either God's law stands or it doesn't. Either you obey his commandments or you don't. So here's the bottom line. If the Sabbath was nailed to the cross, then so were the other 9. But if you claim the other 9 still matter, then so does the Sabbath.